Can you hear me?
Not well, but we'll try here. So
How about now?
okay, there you go. The question that I asked you was, I'm a mostly ethnically German man, right? I'm sure that qualifies white in your book. I don't really give a fuck if white genes or whatever cease to exist. Like, I don't care about this white genocide thing. So I'm just asking very simply, can you give me a reason to care? Because it seems
Okay.
like you.
So,
Yeah, go
if you
ahead. Mm-hmm.
tell me,
What?
You
I
have to
said,
hold down,
I
push to
said,
talk.
Hello? So is the master race not capable of figuring out how fucking push to talk works or something? Is this? I mean, like, I figured it out pretty fucking quickly. You know, I I don't know. Like, this is so awful.
why are you interrupting all the time?
Nobody can fucking hear you, man. You have to hold down the button. We haven't heard a single thing you've said.
If you have a man and a woman saying they don't want a child, will their genes be removed from the gene pool?
Sure, by definition, because they're not
Okay.
reproducing.
Listen. Is their behavior natural among biological entities?
I don't think. Well, look, the question was, do you have a reason for me to care about the removal of white genes?
Okay,
Right?
okay. I will reach to that. Just answer my question. Is their behavior a natural occurrence?
I don't see what anything has to do with it being natural. Do you think things that are natural are morally righteous?
Because their behavior, by definition, leads to the extinction of the species. Do you agree?
So,
So, just because they exist, and a lot of them exist, that they don't have children, and their genes are removed from the gene pool, that doesn't make it natural or something that exists for all the species, the animal species, and for the humans, of course, because we are a social mammal. That's what we are. Okay, therefore we have instincts to reproduce. Just because some people don't want to do that because of XYZ ideological reasons, that doesn't make that natural. So
yeah, but I don't.
to answer to your question, you not wanting to protect the immediate collective that you belong to, and that is the Germans, for example, that you are part of them and they are part of you. You, as a social mammal, that's where you belong. If we lived in a more natural way without ideologies poisoning your mind,
Yeah, but that's not actually an answer to my
you
question.
would depend. I'm answering you. You would
No, you're
depend
not.
on them, and they would depend on you. You not caring for them, that is an ideology that has crept in your mind to remove you from that natural occurrence. So you can do that. You can do that. You cannot care, but that is not normal for people to not care for
You're
the removal.
conflating. Wait. So, when you say that something is natural, and I think when you use the term normal, that's functionally what you're referring to, right? What's natural? I don't assign Please, no. Don't interrupt me, please. Thank you. I don't assign any moral value to things that are natural, right? I don't think things that are natural are just intrinsically right. It doesn't matter to me if I fucking go extinct, right? If the Germans go extinct. The question that I asked you was, is there a reason to care? If the reason to care, if the reason to care is that it's unnatural to not desire the continuation of my genome, right? Then you and I just have a fundamental disagreement there. But then I'm going to
Okay.
ask you something like, why is it the case that you assign moral value to things that are natural?
I'm not assigning moral values. I am observing nature and how it works. I see how some people do not reproduce. They
So
can do that,
if
but
I were to say something like, I think whites should go
their
extinct, is that
behavior,
wrong?
their, now you are interrupting. No, it's not wrong. I already said multiple times that if the Europeans go extinct, they deserve it. I already said that. But they deserve it because either they didn't fight their extinction or they fought and lost. Either way, if
Deserve
you
is a
go,
normative notion.
but they deserve it in a sense that they were basically found weak. They were not evolutionary naturally strong to exist. By the conclusion of their existence, okay, they proved that they are weak, either by not reproducing or reproducing with foreign races or by basically killing themselves,
Do you
or
think
whatever.
people should desire not to be weak?
Yeah, I think that in order to survive in this life, you need to be strong
Yeah,
mentally
so that's a
and
normative,
physically.
right? So that's a normative notion then. You think
I
this is
know.
like a Midas right approach, right?
No,
The
the might
races you
is
think
right.
it's wait, you let me explain something to you. You think it's the case that like it if you're part of some in group, if you're part of some demographic, right, you ought ensure the continued existence of whatever demographic is in question there, be it Germans, be it blacks, be it Italians, whatever, right? That's absolutely a normative notion. So when I asked you, is there any like normative or moral connotation to this invocation of natural states, right? You know,
I already
whether
told
or
you
not
this.
it's natural to reproduce, that was actually not your view. You do
As it
think it's
is,
the case that people should pursue the continued existence of their race.
as it is natural for people to have instincts to reproduce. It is natural for humans as a social mammal species, that's what humans are, to have instincts towards their own immediate collective. We see that, for example, when they tested 3 month old babies, okay, that were different racially, with mothers that were not their own race. So they had a
Yeah.
bunch of white.
So
Yeah, they had. Don't
when you say
interrupt. Don't
something like
interrupt.
people
Don't
ought pursue
interrupt.
the
Don't
continued
interrupt.
existence of their
Don't
race,
interrupt.
look, we
Don't
all know what you're
interrupt.
saying though. There's no reason for you
No,
to
no,
continue,
no,
right?
no. Your arrogance is disgusting. Let the other one speak. Okay. Some people don't be arrogant. Eh? Even your laugh is arrogant. Arrogance is a disease. It makes you think you are something better than you are. Okay. So uh, they had a bunch of 3 month babies, different races. For example, some white babies that were tended by some black women, and the babies cried. They felt threatened. And when there were white females, not their mother, white females, they laughed. The same with black babies, with white females. So that is basically an indication, if not proof, an indication that humans have instincts of of feeling accepted instinctually, of feeling accepted and protected and belonging to people around people that look like them. Okay, that's why when you see a racially mixed couple, you don't feel hate or you don't feel threatened or all this bullshit that they say as a propaganda. You feel disgusted. That's what you feel.
Hmm.
There is an illicit discussion. I don't know if that's a word, but yeah, you feel disgusted. Anyway, that's instinctual.
What's the reason that it's right to pursue the continued existence of your race again?
Because if you do that, and if you have a homogeneous community, of course, with a right leadership, because even homogeneous communities can be shit, okay? But that fundamental brick, okay, that foundational brick needs to be there if you want people to create a high trust society. What is a high trust society? It starts from, oh, I belong to this group. I can see it every day instinctually. I don't even need to think about it. I walk on the street and I see people that look like me. Okay. And then you have a leadership good enough to guide that instinct towards greatness, towards high trust society, civilization, etc., etc. If you have different races living in the same living space, you'll create friction. You'll create friction, and we observe that everywhere where multiple races live in the same living space. Okay,
What's the reason to think conflicts in heterogeneous communities are explained by racial divides instead of some other explanation like class divide?
because the class divide and in different economic policies. For example,
let me wait before you answer. Let me qualify. Right, eliminating one possibility doesn't actually substantiate what you said. The question is really, why do you think, in the case of heterogeneous communities, that is to say, communities that consist of multiple different races and ethnic backgrounds, that the conflict there, as you're saying, exists, is best explained by racial conflict, by ethnic conflict?
Because if you remove uh, all the other constants and variables from the equation, if you remove class, we see in all of the planet. We see that in Asia. We see that in Africa. We see that in communistic uh, states. We see that in capitalistic states, etc., etc. It doesn't matter. Class,
What's a
economy.
communist?
Listen,
Wait,
listen.
what's a communistic state?
Can you let me finish for once? I mean, I let you finish. So I'll answer to you. I'll answer that next. So, if you remove economy, of course, economy plays a part. I'm not saying that economy is not important, or that class is not important, or whatever. But if you remove all of those variables and you let only race and ethnicity, that is what remains. And you see that people fight over it. They will make communities based on that. We see that in prison, for example. In prison, economy is removed. Classes are removed. There is no class in prison. There is no economy in prison. There's nothing. The only thing that there is in prison, in the prison system, is race. And you see people creating collectives based on that to protect themselves, to feel protected and to be protected. So, what is a communistic state? The Soviet Union, for example.
Yeah, but that's like an imperialist look. That's like an empirical dispute, though, right?
Okay.
Like you can cite plenty of examples of heterogeneous communities that are extremely productive and extremely successful, right? We see examples of that all over the world. I'm just not understanding. Like, let's put it this way: in order for your claim to be substantiated, right? The claim is something like homogenous communities are going to be more productive, they're going to be more cohesive. You would have to show that such homogenous communities, by and large, are not only more productive and more successful than comparable heterogeneous communities. There are more of them than successful heterogeneous communities. I don't think you have the empirical evidence to back that claim. Prison is obviously not going to be sufficient for a claim of that nature, right? I can rattle off plenty of fucking countries where there are multiple racial demographics coexisting, and while there may be conflict from fucking racists, right, it's not to the point that the entire community lacks cohesion or is in constant conflict. Take Israel and Palestine, right? A lot of you may erroneously assume that such an instance of that is like a racial divide, right? Jews versus Arabs or whatever. But as I'm sure you understand, right, given any political background whatsoever, it's more so a land dispute, right? It's more so just a territorial dispute. That's kind of what I'm getting at. You can find explanations like that rule out racial divides all over the fucking world, even when it would seem on the surface that it's a racial divide.
Okay, so in Israel, there is literally DNA testing to prove if you are a Jew. In Israel, there are groups that hunt down at night those who race mix. In Israel.
Okay. The claim was that homogeneous communities are less cohesive and less successful than heterogeneous communities. By the way, I'm not even sure about that, right? I'm not even sure about what you just said there. I would imagine that it's sorry?
Control yourself. I'm not interrupting you. You are interrupting all the time.
Okay? You were not speaking. You have an issue with push to talk.
Okay, so in Israel, I said there are multiple occasions by governmental entities. Rabbis are not fringe groups. The rabbis in Israel are highly regarded, and they are basically part of the government in some sense. Okay, and they have a lot of talks, and discussions about the race problem there, about the Arabs and how the Jews and they need to isolate themselves from the Arabs, etc., etc. Also, the land dispute. Why it is a land dispute? It is a dispute about living space where Arabs and Jews will live separately. Yeah, a land dispute can be a racial dispute. When you have two or three or
Some
more
contention.
populations and races living in the same living space, you'll have disputes of economy, of land, of class, of whatever. But there will always be disputes. While in a homogeneous society, the racial disputes, the disputes, oh, you are a different ethnicity than me, are extinct. Why the fuck do you want to have a heterogeneous society where you increase the potentiality of disputes to arise?
Because I
It's
don't think the
illogical.
empirical evidence supports that heterogeneous communities are less cohesive or less successful than homogeneous ones. Right? There's studies being posted in the general chat right now that show diversity improves performance and outcomes in American companies. Bryn shared a study where white male, black female, and white male, Asian female relationships have better success than white pairings, right? You also haven't shown me that the dispute between Israel and Palestine reduces to a racial dispute rather than merely a territorial dispute, right? There's just no reason to accept what you're saying. You're not making a claim like in certain instances, there are examples of heterogeneous communities that are having problems, right? Obviously, we're going to agree with that. You can cite plenty of examples. The question is, what's the reason to believe that simplicator, the probability of a heterogeneous community is going to be less cohesive than a homogeneous community, right? That's the burden you've assumed for this conversation. Unless you have some empirical studies on hand, or you can cite some geopolitical examples where it was clearly reducible to a racial dispute, I don't think you have the case for that.
First of all, Amazon had a study about how racially diverse environment reduces the chance for work syndicates to be created. It is so chaotic, a racially diverse environment that work syndicates have a hard time to be created. I cannot post that because I'm on my fucking phone and I have my thumb right now pressing push to talk. Okay, it's very hard for me. So what I'm saying right now, you can Google it. Amazon study, racially diverse environment, work syndicates or whatever. You'll find the study. Okay, so secondly, comparing
What's the name of
companies.
the study?
I don't remember the name. It was conducted by Amazon. That mammoth of.
Well, I typed in exactly what you. So my search query was Amazon racial diversity environment. Amazon racial diverse environment work syndicates. I can't find the study. Maybe somebody in chat can find the study for me that he's referring to.
Okay, I'll post it. I'll post it after we finish because right now I can. Anyway, if you hear the dog, holy fucking shit! If you hear the dog, anyway.
Wait, but Pogan, before we go on, it has to be noted that there's a pretty stark difference between studying the effects of diversity in like a single generation or a single context versus like racial ethno admixture. Like if the claim is that we shouldn't have race mixing, that needs to look at, you know, like some kind of like multi-generational analysis of like productivity in a society as it becomes more and more genetically admixed. But the diversity one is going to be like itself complicated as well, because are we talking about the impacts of diversity over generations? Are we talking about like previously like contested or incredibly like heated racial contrast? Like for example, desegregation in the States, which is relatively new. We're talking about shifting from, you know, an effective apartheid to increasing diversity rapidly. Of course, it's not clear why that would be immediately successful.
Yeah, I mean, I think the empirical evidence insofar as his claim is concerned. Who the fuck is doing that? Thank you.
But he needs to be clear about what it is that his thesis is. Like, are we currently talking about race mixing, or are we currently talking about
let me ask him exactly what
diversity?
The claim is. Yeah, let me ask him exactly what the claim is, so there's no uncertainty. So this is what I understand your claim to be at this point. Heterogeneous societies are going to be less cohesive and less productive than homogeneous societies with respect to racial groups.
No. I didn't say that.
So you've been substantiating a claim that you're not even making this whole time then.
No, you didn't understand my claim. Okay, it's not an absolute point. There are domains of reference. For example,
You cut out. Just for the record, did anybody else understand that was basically the claim that he was making? Because we've had a conversation for like 20 minutes where I've cited the differences between.
Can you remove push to talk? Because it's stupid. I mean, I cannot have my fucking finger on the screen. Okay. Anyway, listen. I didn't say that. I said even if you have homogeneous societies, if the leadership and if the societal structure sucks, yeah, those societies will suck too. I didn't say that. Also, if you have a heterogeneous society,
that's not a racial issue. That's a structural issue.
Listen. Don't interrupt. And I said, even if you have a heterogeneous society, if you have someone that forces some rules and laws on that heterogeneous society, it may be better than a homogeneous society that's completely shit due to leadership. So there are domains of reference. I'm saying that the domain of reference of the homogeneous society is a little bit further to the positive axis than the heterogeneous, because they have this foundational brick of homogeneity. And the possibility, the potentiality for racial and ethnical friction to arise is non-existent. You basically start from the starting point with one or two less problems than in heterogeneous societies. Do you understand what I'm saying?
No.
Okay, dude. Whatever. I don't know how else to explain it.
Okay. Well, thank you for your. I mean, if you want to step out, that's your prerogative. I don't think we understand. See, my understanding of your claim was, I think, something the majority of the room would agree made sense. Not as in like it's true, just at least was comprehensible, right? But now it seems like you don't want to make that claim, even though you've been substantiating that claim this whole fucking time.
Yeah, because that claim is wrong. Okay,
So it's not the case that homogeneous societies are going to be more productive and cohesive than heterogeneous ones.
Having a homogeneous society is a good starting point to have a better society than having a heterogeneous society from the get-go. That's the point.
That reduces to you saying the probability of cohesion and success in a homogeneous society is going to be higher than the probability of success.
That's what I said.
And cohesiveness in a heterogeneous society.
That's what I said from the beginning. I didn't say that 100% a homogeneous society will be better than a heterogeneous.
Yeah, neither did I. I'm still asking for the argument for that, though.
I told you the argument. A homogeneous society has the potentiality to be a better society than a heterogeneous society.
That's repeating the claim.
Okay. What do you want from me?
An argument.
That's the argument. The argument
is repeating the claim.
That's the argument is that if you start from the get-go of creating a society without a problem that the others will have, the potentiality for racial friction to arise, and it will arise, your society from the beginning has better chances to be more successful than the others.
That's repeating the claim.
Dude, are you fucking retarded? I told you, if you remove one problem that the others will have, you are coming off better from the beginning. What the fuck is your problem, dude?
Yeah, that's just a claim. That's not an argument. Okay, you're not like citing any evidence. You're just saying something, right?
So by saying that if from the beginning you don't have a problem while you have that problem, that is not an argument. Are you fucking retarded?
No, what I'm saying is that you're just repeating the claim, right? You're functionally telling me the same thing twice. I'm asking for some sort of like supporting case.
Dude, listen, I think you are pretending to not understand, okay? You have two societies. One is homogeneous, the other is heterogeneous. They start to be created. The homogeneous doesn't have racial friction. It may have all the other problems, class, economy, whatever. The second society, on top of the other problems that it may have, it will have racial friction because of heterogeneity.
Yeah, that's the claim. That is the claim.
Okay, isn't that... Wait. So a heterogeneous society will not have racial friction more than a homogeneous society? You need me to prove that, really?
Yeah.
Dude, I think you are a hypocrite and a liar. Sorry, but if right now you tell me, prove that a heterogeneous society will have a higher potential to have racial friction than a homogeneous society without racial diversity, I think you're stupid. You're either stupid or a hypocrite.
Look, it may be the case that I am both stupid and a hypocrite, but that's still just a claim, buddy. I haven't heard an argument. I've merely heard you repeat yourself.
Your arrogance is disgusting, dude.
Right, my ancestors are ashamed. That's fantastic. Can we just get the argument from you?
That's a claim. Can you substantiate it?
Okay, he's kill screening.
That's a claim.
If he's not willing to
claim.
provide an argument, I
That's
don't
a
think
claim.
there's much to be done
I said
here.
I said the argument. You pretend not to understand it. You are disgusting.
Well, you just repeated the claim. You didn't actually provide an argument.
That's a claim, bro. Prove it.
Yeah, the evidence for that is that you've repeated yourself multiple times.
That's a claim. I don't see any evidence.
Wait. We can get people in the room to attest to the fact that instead of providing an argument for the claim that you made at the outset of this conversation, you've merely repeated yourself a few times and then acted incredulous when I requested an argument.
I already made the argument. You pretend not to understand it.
You didn't.
Okay, dude, whatever. Let's have other people here that are not completely retards to ask them.
Let me just okay. Maybe I am just retarded. Like maybe that's possible. Let's poll the room real quick. Did anyone understand him to be doing anything other than just repeating himself like 3 or 4 times? Is there anybody in this room that can attest to him making a substantive argument for his claim? One person? And if so, explain to me what the argument was. Uh-oh.
Either people are afraid or...
yes, they're afraid. They're terrified. It's over. Jesus.
Dude, are you fucking retarded? No one...
It's a possibility.
No one attested to what you said. Why are you so arrogant?
I think I'm a smart person.
Yeah, that's arrogance. That will lead you nowhere, dude.
Pogan is intelligent.
So, is anyone here that
please white knight for me? Let's get here. Look. It's not an argument when you say the same thing in slightly different language, right? An argument is going to consist either of some deductive case or some inductive case, and it seems like you're saying the second thing. That's going to require some empirical evidence supporting the claim that you made, right? We didn't actually get any of that. The one study that you told me to look up, I can't fucking find. So maybe I just have to wait for you to post it in text chat or something. Regardless, the point is, at this point in the conversation, I have yet to hear an argument substantiating your claim. So I'm not interested in you repeating yourself for the 9th time or phrasing it in slightly different language, right? I'm just interested in you providing me with an argument that shows you're correct.
Okay. I'll make it as clear as possible because I think you are completely retarded. We have one society that is homogeneous. That means that there are no different
this is the claim,
races.
Bud, this is the claim.
Shut your fucking mouth. So, in that society, there are no different races or ethnicities. Therefore, racial and ethnic friction cannot arise because there are no different races or ethnicities. Can your brain process that?
That would be a claim, sir.
So you need me to prove how in a homogeneous society with one race and one ethnicity, there won't be ethnic and racial friction. You want me to prove that?
Well, I think you said something to the effect of the probability of a heterogeneous society being cohesive and productive is lower than the probability of a homogeneous society being cohesive and productive. But regardless, yeah, that's what you have to substantiate. Yes.
So there are how many people here? There are many people here. Listen to my words and tell me what it needs to be proven.
Can you tell me what an argument is first?
Without a society with one race and one ethnicity will not have racial tension because there are no different races. Do you need really something to prove you that?
Do you know what a difference between do you know what the difference between a claim and an argument is?
Can you think logically for 10 seconds? Can your brain function in a logical manner for 10 seconds?
I have Parkinson's. Do you understand what the difference between the claim and the argument is? A claim and an argument, rather.
Can your brain function in a logical manner for 10 seconds? I'm just asking you this simple question.
I think the best I could probably do is about 7 seconds tops.
For 10 seconds.
I don't know if I can do 10.
You have
Yeah.
a society with one race. Will it have racial tension?
I don't know.
Yeah, listen, if you think this guy is real and not a hypocrite or retarded, I'm sorry. Are you fucking? Are you guys? Listen, are you guys playing here? Are you guys playing?
I just
I
wanted
mean,
the
this
argument.
is not serious. This is not serious, dude.
I just wanted the argument.
But it's
Okay, dude, I'm
like
done.
it's clear that within the prompt itself, within the claim, that it like there's no possibility. He's saying that since they're one race, one ethnicity, there's not a single possibility. Like it's literally not possible for there to be racial tension, and he sees that as an overall benefit.
I don't know what that means.
I'm saying that benefit, the other society doesn't have it. Therefore, by the beginning of the creation of the other society, they start with a negative that a homogeneous society doesn't have. But because you know that this is a good argument, you pretend not to understand that having a racially homogeneous society doesn't have racial friction. You pretend. You are arrogant and hypocrite. I don't believe you are a retard. I think you are arrogant. It's even worse than being a retard.
Well, I'm glad I've been promoted in your book from retard to just arrogant, but unfortunately, this is still just a claim. Do you know what the difference between a claim and an argument is?
Listen, you are getting very, very boring, okay? You are getting very
See,
boring.
Not
You're
to
getting very
substantiate
boring.
that claim, Pogan. He doesn't have to substantiate that claim. You have to disprove that claim because his claim is simply that one thing leads to another. It's causation. He doesn't have
Wait, what? You don't think people who make a claim have the burden of evidence? What the fuck are you talking about?
The burden's not put on him. It's on you to refute it because what he said is quite literally and logically true. So there's nothing to substantiate. If there's one race, how would there be racial tension? That's just
no. The claim. Listen, the claim that I'm attacking is that in a homogenous society, the probability of success and cohesion is going to be higher than the probability of success and cohesion.
He's not making that claim, though.
Okay, then he's just changing the goalposts. If that's not the claim he's making, then the goalposts have shifted from the last time I asked him what his claim is.
He never clearly identified like his claim. So
really, I directly asked him that question.
I did. I did. Wait.
That said, someone is
I
making that claim.
I don't know if you were before. I did, but we lost 20 minutes of our life trying to convince that guy that it's a 4-year-old can understand, okay? That it's logical for a racially homogeneous society to not have racial friction. And I asked him, that is the first step.
That's not the claim that Shaw understood.
Wait. Don't interrupt.
Time when he tried to represent the claim as something else.
Wait. Are you getting anxious? So, listen. That was first step. That was the first step to lead towards my claim. But we couldn't even pass that step because that guy pretends not to understand that very easily logically logical argument. Do you understand, sir? That's not my claim. That's the beginning of my claim. But we cannot even go to my claim because that guy is a retard.
It's not an argument, dude.
Yeah, Shaw, you think you're such a smart fucking guy. You think you're a tough guy. Why don't you try to investigate the issue with him, since it seems like you fucking know better than I do, even though he directly told me what his claim was. Go for it, man.
Whoa.
Let's just you, buddy. Go.
Down,
no, I'm cool. No, listen, I'm cool. I just don't like it when people misrepresent the claim after the fucking guy directly tells me my claim is X, and I say, okay, what's the argument for that claim, right? But go ahead, waste our fucking time. Investigate it with him, pal.
Man, I mean, this is your argument.
Oh, fuck. Don't want to do it, do you? You don't want to do it. Okay, thanks, Shaw. Thank you for your contribution, asshole.
I feel really
for the last time
agree with a racist, but you're arrogant as fuck, dude.
That's true. Yep. That doesn't make me wrong, though.
Yeah, it does. Anyway, arrogant people are disgusting.
It does.
So first of all, I will make my claim one last time. If you understand it, good. If not, fuck you. So listen. Step one. Racial homogeneous societies don't have racial friction. Logic 101. If you need proof for that, go make
Logic 101.
Go make a lobotomy. Okay.
Wait, you see what he's saying, Pogan, right? He's saying that if there's only one relata, you can't have like an
Right, but
you can't have you can't. It's like it's a trivial claim. That's what he's.
That's
That's
what I'm
he's
saying, right? He couldn't. I see. When I asked him what the claim was, he said the probability thing that I outlined, which is why I was weirded out when Shaw represented the claim as something else, because if he's, I mean, clearly that's trivial, right? There's no point in investigating that, right?
Right.
It's saying that if he had to.
It's
right,
baking the problem because he's like explicitly looking at racial tension rather than like tension on the aggregate. If all you ever look at is racial tension, then yeah, a society that de facto has no racial tension is going to have less racial tension than even a society with like a single person of a different race.
Right.
So
it's a waste of our fucking time.
You both are talking about me without me. That's completely.
I think that's
I didn't even make a claim. I started making a claim. You interrupted me, and you think I made a claim. Do you understand how stupid you are? Be patient.
Wait, are you not making the claim? Are you not making the claim that by definition, if you have a homogeneous society, there's going to be no racial tension? That is your claim, right?
That is the beginning of the claim.
Okay, but we're discussing the triviality of that and the way that bakes into a broader claim. Like we're skipping ahead a few steps.
You have a choice. You create a society. One society you can create it without the problem.
But you no. Well, we can skip ahead. We don't have to listen. We can skip ahead for a second because we don't have to listen to you.
Can you do it?
No, we don't have to listen to you ramble.
No.
What I'm interested in before you finish your ramble is whether or not you have any evidence that possible mediating effects don't occur. So, for example, why couldn't it be the case that even though racial tension occurs higher necessarily just by definition, why couldn't it be the case that certain aspects of diversity increase social cohesion, offsetting the new racialized problems? Like, do you have any evidence to suggest that overall social cohesion lowers as a function of racial diversity?
Because there is zero evidence saying that. Can you show?
But is there any evidence? Is there any evidence to support your thesis?
Does veganism make you a low impulse control? Can you control yourselves?
No.
Okay.
Good answer.
Discuss by yourself. I don't give a fuck anymore.
No, I'm just interested in whether or not you have any empirical evidence that shows that, all things considered, increasing racial diversity leads to less social cohesion.
Openly racist white supremacist. You want to go on a date with me? Hello?
Pogan's a man whore. Detroyer? Miguel?
Detroyer? Anybody?
No, you're too white.
You guys don't understand. Being
so
an asshole on the internet.
There is actually someone defending this claim in the chat, by the way. There's a crazy utilitarian is under the impression that it actually is the case that I think that he's about to present specifically diversity papers, but it seemed like his claim is that admixture, in fact, lowers social cohesion, which would be just a wild thing to show, I think.
I think we pretty much wrapped this one up, ladies and gentlemen. Maybe 16 years in the future.
What do you mean, utilitarian? You literally said it earlier that based on, like, as an extension of kin selection, you quite literally earlier it was about admixture. Like, if your thesis is only about diversity, then we're gonna need studies that also adjust for, sociological factors. So I'm aware, for example, of studies looking at how sometimes increasing diversity doesn't affect populations in terms of like perceived threat, but that a big thing that explains that is actually like social classes and the impression of like crime and the impression of wealth that ascends up and above and beyond, like a racial kin theory. But I was under the impression earlier that you were speaking explicitly about race mixing, and that was going to be problematic.
As you know, Bryn, my favorite conversations on Discord are ones where one person is in voice and the other is in text. Truly like a fucking
Hey, this is backwards from how you usually get it. So
I'll take a debate rank up for this one. Somebody, I think that's like, I think I'm a master.
Why is crazy utilitarian just like text cucking? It's really fucking annoying.
well, I think the more annoying thing right now is that he's admitting to on-the-fly Googling and cherry-picking evidence without taking the time to say, I don't have any evidence for this claim right now. Let me go do a systematic review of the evidence and find meta-analyses and come back. So I'm just aggravated right now at
Oh yeah,
at the kind of thing that's going on right now. Like, here is the biggest study I could find on diversity. Also, this for the armed forces posts 2 papers. Like, Jesus, it's literally like it's literally on the fly cherry picking.
Yo, this is what they always say. They always say I don't have anything on hand. Like that's
But
just like implies
the
they
entire.
haven't even engaged into like the literature, right? They haven't done their due diligence. Like no one says otherwise.
That's the entire point. I mean, you could have done like all the reading before and just say, I don't have studies right now. Let's meet up later.
Let me go find those studies that I did read in the past, right? We all know that's not true. This is your favorite shit, Bryn.
Mm-hmm.
These people that are always like, talking about like being white and shit. Like, what does it that even mean? Like, how do you determine it? How do I know if I'm white?
That's like sort of the weird thing. There are studies on ancestry and self-selection for ancestry out there that demonstrate that, generally speaking, people, as a one-way function, are capable of determining a part of your ancestry from a perceived race. Like, people are pretty good at that. So, for example, when someone is perceived as black, saying that person has African ancestry, they're generally pretty good at it. In fact, like, people are also pretty good at even doing like almost to the country level on a lot of these things. But the actual way in which the split is like incomprehensible to most people. Like, you can't say like if someone is black, like, to what degree are they Afro based, or like if someone is white, to what degree are they Irish? That's just something that is much more individual. So it has like mixed utility. In certain contexts, it's useful.
Like, if someone is like half black, half white, according to that, like.
What was your question?
Race deniers and cultural Marxists.
What was your question?
I asked you if you
don't
wanted
have
to
a
go on a
question.
date. Hello?
Wait, it was.
Yeah, someone interrupted you, so go ahead.
Were you referring to me?
No, someone asked about Afro, some
That
about
was
Africans and Irish or something like that.
oh.
No,
I
no one
was just
asked me anything.
asking, like, how do you determine whether you're white? Like, how do I know if I'm white?
Listen, white is someone of purely European descent. By purely European descent, I mean you have you are part. Your genetics are part of the three populations that created the Europeans. And by Europeans, I don't mean geographically. Okay, in Middle East, for example, before the Mongoloid invasion and the Arabs that moved there,
That's
some
racist.
some
That's
sub-Saharan
racist.
African.
I'm
Some,
half
some,
Irish.
Anyways,
Does that count?
can you stop interrupting?
can you
No.
not be racist?
Mongoloid is not a race. It's like Caucasoid. Caucasoid. Mongoloid is a racial term. Okay, so it's not an insult. Just like Negroid. Okay, so
That's incredibly racist.
whatever. Anyway, the
God, please.
if you have a need to laugh at your microphone for everyone to hear, that means you are an attention whore on top of
Oh,
arrogant. Holy
100.
fucking
Are you
shit.
kidding? Yeah, absolutely.
Very true.
Yeah, listen, if anyone wants to debate seriously without mockery, arrogance, etc., I'm free, but do not interrupt and don't mock. It's that simple. Make your argument, I'll make my argument, and we'll see what is more logical.
I'm just curious how I can know if I'm white or not.
I'm just curious.
What is your ethnicity? What is your ethnicity?
It's not begging the question.
Because
what does ethnicity have to do with being white?
if she's from a European country, for example, the possibility for her to be of purely European descent is almost 99%. Okay, she needs to be some new addition to that country to not be. So that's why I'm asking, what's your ethnicity? What's your ancestry?
I'm Sicilian.
Okay, that is a problem because while listen, why? Because Sicilians
She
in
goes
most of the
black in the
cases,
Sicilians are
sunburn.
Moors. They're actually black.
listen,
Get
no, they
that
aren't. In
suntan and
most
you're looking
cases,
a bit
Sicilians.
swarthy.
Can you stop? So in 98% of the cases, Sicilians are pure-blooded Europeans. Okay, but there is a maybe 3% that has some North African ancestry, and if that North African ancestry had Negroid admixture, yeah, that's a problem. That's why they found in Sicilians in some areas in Southwest and Southeast 1% Negroid admixture.
I really need you to stop saying Negroid. I
From
really
the,
need you to not do that.
I don't give a fuck what you need. Okay, so yeah, mostly Sicilians are Europeans, but there is some people that are not, that are mongrels. Okay, so because North Africans, while in ancient times, for example, Egyptians and the ancient North Africans, they were purely Aryans, they were purely Caucasoid. Okay, we see that in the genetics of the Egyptians, for example. The ancient Egyptians, they were Neolithic farmer Natufians, and after the Roman period, after the Roman Empire, the Negroid influence in Egypt and the rest of the North Africa increased up until 27%, while the ancient Egyptians didn't have that percentage of Negroid admixture. Okay, so that's the thing with North Africans; they are an extinct population. Some rare occasions, some Christian Egyptians may be pure because those who moved the Negroids in Egypt were the Muslims, the Arabs. Okay, that's through slavery. That's how the admixture went there. But yeah,
So, how do we determine whether I have this problem?
how do you determine a problem? Oh, no, listen. Do you look if you look yourself in the mirror? Do you see any Negroid feature? Do you see any Mesorhinic? Basically, your nostrils are wide, or are they thin? Is your nose thin? Is your jaw prominent? Do you have a prominent prognathism, which basically is the jaw going forward in comparison to your nose and forehead, do you have any other? Look at a Negroid and look at yourself. Do you have any feature like them? I don't think you're probably European, the Mediterranean female. So if you have questions about it, just take a DNA test. It's like what, 100 euros. So, it's not a lot.
How do you know you're not black?
Both me and my wife are DNA tested. I said to my wife, if we have
Get
non-European
wrecked, Pogan.
influence,
You fucking rat lad.
I said, listen, don't laugh. I said to my wife, if either of us have non-European influence, we'll adopt, will not reproduce. But
Oh,
thank God,
shit.
Jesus. Wow. Holy shit. Why not just, I mean, like, you could just probably, like, if you weren't white, would you kill yourself?
Nope, that's completely retarded. If you are not white, or if you are not European, or if you are whatever, you can work towards bettering yourself individually and towards an idea that you value. There were many non-whites fighting in the Wehrmacht, okay, in Hitler's army, voluntarily, not by force, just like the blacks fought in the American army. Blacks fought in the German army voluntarily, just like Indians, Arabs, and other non-Europeans. So even if you are a non-white, you can
I
fight
mean, like,
towards
I mean,
a better.
Hitler saw utility in using those racial groups for the purpose of the war effort, right? But if you like believe that afterwards he would have granted them citizenship, or like even in any
Of course
capacity
not.
treated them on the same.
That's a logical example. I didn't say just
So
because
wait,
you
what's the
respect
point of
them.
invoking the
Yeah,
fact that
That's
what's the point of
a logical
invoking?
jump.
Let me
Wait,
you interrupted me. Let
Let
me
me
finish, buddy. What's the point of invoking that the Wehrmacht utilized other races besides Aryans if you know for a fact, right? Presumably we share this belief that after the war they would have just been discarded in the same capacity as Jews, blacks, gays, gypsies, any other group that wasn't Aryan. You're
So,
just saying they were used.
For example, they were not used because they knew exactly what they were doing. They were not lied to. Okay, if I was an
Okay,
Indian,
then
for
they're just
example,
suicidal. All right, I see.
so if I was an Indian, for example, and I wanted to fight for National Socialistic ideas, okay, I would fight for the main force that promotes those ideas on the planet in order for that force to win, so my country can have a chance in the future to be a National Socialist country too. So that was the idea. Yes, Hitler used them in a sense of utility, but he respected them. He had how are they called, the Muslim priests, mullahs in the Muslim battalions. He had Indian priests, or how they're called, in the Indian Hindu battalions. He even let them wear their own uniform in their head, the turbans.
I'm aware of this, by the way.
Yeah, he respected them. He used them in a positive sense. He didn't lie to them. He said, "That's my ideas. If you want, come fight with me. If we win, we'll help you. We'll help you in your country or whatever. Just like he wanted. But he lost because the 3 or 4 empires fought against him. But anyway, that's another story."
I think we're done here, ladies and germs.
Wait, do you think to know someone's race, you have to know their DNA?
In most of the cases, no. Phenotype is enough. But if there is a rare case where something is wrong with the phenotype, either by epigenetics in an etymological sense, not in a scientific sense, epigenetics in a sense after you are birthed. Okay, so if you've broken your face or nose or whatever, or if you had surgery, plastic surgery, then yeah, you cannot determine phenotypically someone. But in most of the cases, phenotype is enough to do it.
Wait, so in principle, if you change the phenotype, could you change the race?
Of course not, because race is biologically determined. It's not so as how you look in outside. How you look in outside
Wait,
is a
so
mirror.
when I said in principle,
I didn't finish. So
I'm interrupting for a good reason, but if you want to continue.
I didn't finish. How you look outside is a mirror of what you are inside. But if it is corrupted, if what is outside is corrupted, that doesn't mean your genes changed. If you reproduce, you'll still make Europeans, for example, even if your phenotype is corrupted in some sense.
Okay, so you're saying that it's logically impossible that I could change my phenotype without a kind of genetic change, such that I could be like a different race.
Yeah, oh no, not different race. You will be some monstrosity like Michael Jackson was, for example, but you will not be some specific race. You will never look like a specific race. You will look. There will be something off, something plastic on you. Okay,
I'm not
of
disputing
course,
the difficulty of it.
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
just
You
saying
cannot
that
change
in
race. You cannot
principle,
change race. You cannot change. You can be a monstrosity, a plastic doll, but you will not be naturally what the race that you aim to be is.
well, that just means then that you can't know your race until you know your DNA.
That means that phenotypic analysis, if you know 100% that the guy or girl hasn't had plastic surgery or some broken face or whatever,
That is
is
valid, bro.
useful.
Like,
Is useful. But DNA testing can be a secondary tool to determine someone's
You're not
ancestry.
understanding.
Are
You're
you
not
responding to something different because you're not responding to what I just said? What are you responding to exactly?
I responded to what you said. I said yes, the DNA testing is useful when you have someone with plastic surgery or whatever. But in most of the cases, phenotypic analysis is enough. Okay.
I don't think I'm being understood. I'm saying that if you're claiming that it's impossible to adjust the phenotype such that you can have a different race, then in order to know your race, you can't depend on the phenotype.
No, you depend on the phenotype that has been created through natural ways. My point is, if you change that phenotype through unnatural ways, through plastic surgery, or
You're
if
just
you
saying
break
that you know that their genes are unchanged.
what?
You're just saying that if you know that the phenotype matches the genes that they originally had, you're not saying anything about the specific phenotype, though.
Dude, why is it so hard
The
for you to
relevant
understand?
quality is the genes in that situation.
Like
Listen.
here, let me help you. Let's pretend we had a machine, right? That doesn't exist. We don't have this technology, obviously, that changed all my phenotype such that I was perceived as a black male. Okay. You're saying that I would still not qualify as a black male because my my DNA sequences, genome, has not been altered. Which means that you can't depend on the phenotype to know the race.
You depend on the phenotype because a machine like that doesn't exist.
But
And using an argument
that's
with
not the
something
point
that
of the
is non-existent.
hypothetical. The
Listen,
hypothetical is
the
supposed to
hypothetical.
illustrate
Okay, you can make
a conceptual
hypotheticals.
issue with your
Listen,
view.
You can make hypotheticals about anything. Are these
No, you
hypotheticals
can't. That's not true
realistic?
either. You
No, listen.
can
You can make
hypothetically there can't be a
hypotheticals
square
about it.
triangle, so I don't know what you're talking about.
Saying that a machine that doesn't exist exists to prove something is stupid. Okay.
No, I didn't say
Now,
that. I did. I said
yes, you did.
it.
Yes, you did.
I'm using possible world semantics, right, to show
There is no
conceptual
possible
error in
world
your view.
semantics of a machine that can change your race fully. Okay, you can have plastic surgery, you can have whatever the fuck you want, but you will never change your phenotype completely in order to look natural in what you are. That machine
You're
doesn't
not
exist.
understanding the. If you're trying to show a conceptual issue with some view, you can appeal to possible worlds to show the conceptual error, and then I'm in here. I just pointed out your conceptual error.
Okay. I'll entertain your hypothesis, even if I consider it stupid. If a machine like that existed, yes, DNA testing would be the fundamental way to test someone's ancestry because anyone can fool you. Okay, but just changing your outside ways how you look, that doesn't mean that you can reproduce the people. Okay, you are part of a foreign group, and a group of people is not only the way they look, is the way they behave, is the way, for example, the sub-Saharan African Negroids, they have higher serum estrogen. You can look it up. I'm not lying. Okay, they have higher
Look,
serum estrogen
here's what I'm saying. Right?
compared to the
You're
Europeans and
past.
Asians.
You're already
Listen,
going past.
listen.
You
While
you've zoomed by my point already.
oh my fucking god, whatever.
Okay, look, this is what I'm saying. If you take two individuals, one is black and one is white, and you altered them phenotypically such that they become when at least perceivable twins, right? You've altered their phenotypes to where they exactly match, but their genomes are different, right? I wouldn't be mistaken in saying that they're of the same race.
Yes, if that happened in your scenario, which is highly unlikely to happen, yes, you need a DNA testing. That's why
Well,
I said.
the
That's why
point,
I
it may
said if
never happen,
technology.
right?
That's why I said if technology like that existed, yeah, you should have DNA testing for all to
But
determine.
you see, I wouldn't be wrong in virtue of looking at them and saying that they're of the same race, right? Like, for instance, if I told you my sexual preferences, that I lean towards, you know, a black individual, right? And I pointed out that that's the person that, you know, that person's black, and I find them, you know, attractive in virtue of them being black, right? I wouldn't be wrong if their genome was similar to a white person because of their alterations, phenotypic alterations.
I told you, if a technology like that existed, you need DNA testing. What else do you want? I mean, this
Well,
discussion.
no, I just wouldn't be wrong. The
What is
DNA
the purpose?
testing
What is
is
the
going
purpose
that
of
those
the discussion?
conclusions or
What is the
findings are going
purpose
to
of
be
the discussion, dude?
distinct. Sorry, what you
What is the
interrupted me?
purpose of your argument?
It's to show that race is, conceptually speaking, is not reducible to DNA.
Okay, some trap man that looks completely like a female. Is it a female?
Wait, what? So you're saying if
Some
some
trap man that had
wrong?
multiple plastic surgeries to look like a female and took estrogen and all other crap, other chemical poisoning to look like a female, and it looks like a female. Is it a female?
Well, what do you mean by look like? I mean, the point is that if it had, like, you know, certain qualities like a vagina, smooth skin, short, you know.
Genetics. That being, that abomination, will forever have XY chromosomes.
Yeah, but I care more
Never change.
about
From the
like
foundation,
genitalia than XY
from the
chromosomes or
foundations, it
XX.
will be, unfortunately, a perverted
Look, this
male.
is I can just
Okay,
pose the exact same argument, right?
yeah, that is your argument. Your argument is, oh, you know, you have the technology to make a trap, therefore, you know, your appearance is not bound to genetics. This is stupid.
No. Look, I guess you didn't really do justice to my hypothetical. So in the case of sex, let's say you take two individuals, right? Let's say Scarlett Johansson and Brad Pitt, and I put them in a machine where I switch their XY and XX chromosomes, but all their phenotypes remain the same, right? If I'm a straight male, I'm still going to be attracted to, you know, Scarlett Johansson because I take her. She fits my concept of being a woman despite having XY chromosomes, right? Are you going to be gay and go for Brad Pitt if he has XX chromosomes?
You cannot change chromosomes without changing the biological entity. What the fuck is your problem, dude? I mean,
well, what's the contradiction in doing so?
You are making such.
There's no contradiction in doing so.
Do you understand your claims? Your claims are
my
completely
claim is that there's no contradiction
your claims are high
in that
fantasy.
hypothetical such that it's possible.
Don't
It's just
exist
never
in the real world.
Of what male and female is in relation to woman and
with your claims.
Man.
Oh my god, dude, I'm done. Make your high fantasy jokes, okay?
Did he say that? Wait, did he just say that you can have, well, you can't have different phenotypes with the same genes? Did he just say that?
Nope. I said if you change the chromosomes from XY to XX, you'll have a female.
Oh, you gotta talk about the other thing now.
Anyway,
so when somebody's walking down the street and you see them walking down the street, and you call them a female, you're saying, hey, that person has XX chromosomes?
What?
Sorry. It was, when you see a woman walking down the street, when you say that person's a woman, what you mean by that is that they have these certain genes?
Of course. What a woman is a biological existence. It's not some subjective thing. It's very, very objective. It is a biological
I'm sorry,
entity.
I'm back now. No, the point is that there's no contradiction in saying that you, sir, have XX chromosomes. There's no contradiction.
Okay, I'm done. Go listen. I'm done. This is. I am very exhausted. This is so stupid. I mean, come on.
Well, you know, if you don't understand, you know, just because you don't understand doesn't mean it's stupid.
Yeah, I understand that you live in a fantasy world. Live in
the
real world.
You agree with me though, right? You agree with me. There's no contradiction in you having XX chromosomes. right? Because it would just be, illogical to say that there is some contradiction. You wouldn't be able to point it out.
There is no possible way for a full-grown man to make him have XX
But that's just to say there's a
You cannot do
contradiction, and
that.
you're not going to be able to identify
You
it.
cannot do that. You saying,
When you say that it's
what
not
did you
possible,
get, doesn't prove anything.
Do you know about the South African runner who ran for the Olympics? She is a woman with XY chromosomes. She has a
That's
vagina. She's born with a
if-
vagina, yet she has XY chromosomes.
we can just use his example, right? He's not going to be
wait,
able to
wait,
find a
wait.
Her
contradiction.
name is
You are
Pastor
talking-
Semenya. Go look her up. Go look her
Yeah,
up.
but look,
Pastor
look,
Semenya.
I understand what you're
Stop.
doing, but
Stop.
that's going to give
You are
him
talking
a
about
kind
the
of
hermaphrodite?
lifeline. Look, this is very simple.
You are
If there's
talking
no
about the
contradiction in you,
hermaphrodite?
sir, having XX chromosomes. Point out
Oh
the
my God.
contradiction. If you can't point in the contradiction, then you accept that it's
What
logically possible.
contradiction, you fucking retard? You cannot be a woman and have XY chromosomes. What the
No,
fuck
we're
are you
not talking about that claim. We're talking about the claim that you have XX chromosomes. We can't. You're not going to be able to find a logical contradiction. That's to say, find a proposition that contradicts another proposition within the idea that you have XX chromosomes.
You make no sense.
Okay, well let me explain to you again, right? You are you take yourself to be a man, right? So I am a man is a distinct proposition from I have XX or XY chromosomes. Those are two different meanings, right? Having XY chromosomes are distinct from me saying I am a man, right? After all, if you
To
want to
be
say
a
that they're
man-
identical, if you want to say they're identical, then no one knew what a man was prior to the discovery of DNA 150 years ago or so, or actually less than 100 years
Just
ago.
because you didn't
So-
discover it, it doesn't make it non-existent. You being a
No,
man,
I'm not
and
positing that DNA is non-existence, right? I'm saying that people had a
you
concept
having the
of a man
capability,
without having a
having the
concept of XY chromosomes.
capability,
So they're
you
conceptually
having the
distinct.
capability to say I am a man requires of you to have an XY chromosome, even if
That
you
means there would be a
don't know
contradiction
of
in saying
those
I am a
chromosomes.
man and I have XX chromosomes, but you failed to give me a contradiction.
Okay, dude, I'm done. This is completely
Yeah,
retarded.
if you don't understand,
Completely
you are
retarded.
done. You are done.
Yeah.
Get fucked. Just kidding. I think this was a great conversation.
Let me explain to the room, just in case there was any confusion. We're gonna only have one confused person in this room. It's gonna be the one that just ran away. Here's the idea. People knew what a man and a woman was 3,000 years ago, right? Their concept of a man and woman is distinct from their concept of chromosomes. After all, they had no concept of chromosomes at that, right? So that's to say that I am a woman or I am a man is distinct, conceptually distinct from I have XY chromosomes and I have XX chromosomes. So they cannot be identifiable conceptually speaking, which is to say that there is no contradiction in saying that I am a man and I have XX chromosomes and I am a woman and I have XY chromosomes. He's failed to give the contradiction. Instead, he just wants to escape the hypothetical because he
Shut your
doesn't
fucking
understand.
mouth.
No, you ran
You're
away,
completely
sir. Remember, you
retarded.
ran away.
You are
Right now, I
completely
should only see the
retarded.
tail behind your
You
legs.
are completely
between your
retarded.
legs, right? That's the only thing I should.
Repeating the same shit all over again
I'm not
makes me
talking to you,
bored.
sir. I'm talking to the
Okay?
room in case there was
It
any
makes me
confusion.
bored.
Now I'm
Okay?
quite sure that you're the
So,
only one in the room that's
3,000
confused.
years ago, a woman said I'm a woman because she had XX chromosomes and she had that
I just want to make
biological
sure that is this gentleman the
structure
only
that
one
these
that's
chromosomes
confused in the room?
gave.
I think everyone else
Okay?
understands,
So
right?
in order for her to
He's
be
just
I am a
sad.
woman, she needed those
Sir,
chromosomes.
you ran away because you didn't
Even
understand. I
if she
don't know if
didn't
you
know,
remember,
even if she
unless you
didn't
don't
know
mean
that,
what you say.
even if she didn't know that
Even
she
if she
had
didn't know she meant that, she meant that, guys. If she didn't know she meant that shit, but she meant
This
that.
is a fucking retarded. Oh my fucking god! This
Yeah, you are retarded.
Yeah, dude, are you fucking retarded? Just because you don't know your genetic structure, does that mean that genetic structure doesn't make you you?
That's not my
Are you
claim. You're
fucking stupid?
misunderstanding my claim. Once again, you're the only confused person in the room.
Yeah, I'm confused because you are making confused. Well, it's very simple. It's very simple. Okay, in order for a woman to say I'm a woman, she sees herself. She has private parts, vagina. She has boobs. She has the entire biological structure of a woman, and that biological structure without the X chromosomes cannot happen. Okay, end of
Well,
story.
there would be a
That
contradiction.
can
then.
happen. That can happen, though.
Yeah, whatever. Dude. Okay.
Yeah,
Wait,
you
you're
see,
saying there's a
whatever.
contradiction
I'm
there?
running away.
He left. He said you can't have it be the case where you have tits, a vagina, and all that, but still have XY chromosomes. That's insanity.
Jovan got wrecked in this conversation.
Pogan, no one loves you. You're gonna die alone.
That's true. It's absolutely true.
He just died alone, so.
It's okay. It's okay.
It's okay, guys. It's so good. It's so good.
This was a very interesting discussion.